Bleacher Report just dropped a brand new 2026 NFL mock draft, so I am here to review it. Let's jump right into this. Thank you guys again for showing all the love and support that you guys have. We have been on a Europe trip and now just getting back, making sure all these guys are scouted because I want to get you guys an offensive guard and center list or rankings in the next couple of days. The graphics are going to be a bitch, but I think 3 centers are graded. So we're going to have like up to 40 guys on there. It's going to be nuts, but stay tuned for that. Get excited. And of course, we're going to be doing a mock draft as well. I was about to do it, and then I saw that Bleacher Report posted something brand new. So let's talk about it. Number 1 overall, we have the New Orleans Saints going Arch Manning. I do not believe he will come out. Manning said they want to keep him in college for a couple of years unless this guy has an absolute historic season and like the dream team. Like, let's just say, God forbid something horrible happens to the Falcons and they end up with the number 1 pick, i.e. the Rams, who have said pick, then maybe Arch would change his mind. So I think that only in the most perfect circumstance would he come out. New Orleans Saints being at number 1 is not that perfect circumstance, in my opinion. So I don't think he'd come out, but if the Saints are staying there at 1, I do believe it'd be a quarterback. I will be actually reweighting my quarterback grades, which is actually super easy now rather than the absolutely laborious process I used to have to do. So hallelujah, actually super duper easy. But LaNorris still will be the highest graded quarterback I have by a pretty good margin. I just think that there will be some shifts in there that I think will make it a little bit more realistic after learning from some of my mistakes and learning from some of my successes in certain areas. So excited to be able to make those small tweaks, but I do think LaNorris would be the best quarterback available. And number 2, the Browns go Caleb Downs. They do have 2 picks, and if they do not want to go after a QB, then this is the probably best player available. So safety is very tough to value because the best safeties, you think about Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, they made their impact on every single play. They are extremely valuable. They are now worth over $20 million a year as well, so you can't even make the contract argument there. But, I mean, there's no cornerback in this class, and I know there's like Greg Newsome talks and all this stuff with him coming up on a contract, but you just have to go best player available, and Caleb Downs is absolutely that. So, good move. And again, this is a live reaction, so we'll see what happens when we see their second pick. But not going after a QB. If you don't believe in them, don't do it because once again, you'll just be picking another QB. At number 3, we have the Jets going Fernando Mendoza. Very excited to see this. Obviously, you guys know Mendoza's my QB3. Again, I do believe that will continue to be the case. It might end up being jumped by Klubnik, but Fernando Mendoza, really good QB, really fun. I'm excited to see how he plays at Indiana. They've had a really good track record of QBs in recent memory. You think about even Sorsby, but then you think about, of course, recently with Rourke as well, and now with Mendoza. I have a lot of faith in this organization, and even though like the more I study these Indiana players, on defense they actually have some legit dogs, but on offense they're making it work with some pretty okay individuals. So, I really do think that, whatever they have going on there maximizes the talent on offense. And then when you add in a superior talent like Fernando Mendoza, then Curtis Rourke, and I like Curtis Rourke, but Mendoza talent-wise is a better player, then I do think there's a chance it could be a lot better. So very excited to see how Mendoza does. For the Jets at number 3, it would have to be a really damn good season for Mendoza, but it's very possible. At number 4, we have the Titans going Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Especially with the Titans trying to go heavier into the offense, this is not a horrible idea. And I always go edge. I'm like a Reuben Bain to Tennessee guy. Like I am just like really entrenched in that opinion. And yes, I'm entrenched in certain opinions. Of course, I'm willing to admit where I'm wrong, where I'm right, and just have a good time with it. But Jordan Tyson is awesome. I really, really like his game. And it's a really, I didn't really think about Jordan Tyson to the Titans, but, he is somebody who could actually add something to that offense that they don't really have at the moment. So intriguing for sure, because I do think he is by far the best receiver in the class. And it's pretty hard to find another player that really challenges him. But Kai Lemon is just a different type of guy. And number 5, with the Panthers going Peter Woods, defensive interior out of Clemson. Peter Woods has the potential to be the best player in the entire class. You can get that number 5. That's a pretty good place to be. They got Tershawn Wharton, who I think is going to be really solid for them, but I still think in the back of their mind they can still upgrade on that defensive interior. This is not out of the question. However, if you are staying at number 5, the question is why? Because there is a lot of like momentum for this team to actually have a pretty solid year. Like running backs relatively in check, quarterback should be in check, wide receiver much more invested now that you have Tetairoa McMillan there and he's looking really solid early on. I mean, hell, like there's not really many positions where you're legitimately weak enough to make an argument for you being at number 5. And then on the defensive side, you can try to make some arguments there, but I mean, you still have some high potential players. Like it's tough to believe, but it is possible the Panthers do end up in this position. And if they go Peter Woods, then I assume it would be because of the defense, not the offense. And that'd be a good pick. Number 6, you got the Giants going Jermod McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee. Jermod is somebody in the biggest moments really does shine. I do got to give him credit for that. But I do see him getting in one-on-one scenarios burnt more than he gets his lack or his criticism for. So not a huge fan of that. But Jermod McCoy is a big, heavy corner who is very physical. That's my type. I mean, like, we talk about having types when it comes to girls and stuff. Like, I love a physical corner. And I was honestly surprised I didn't love Jermod McCoy as much as I wanted to because I remember that end zone interception with Alabama, and I was just like, ooh, I really like this guy. So gut instinct was there, but the more I watched him, I was really hoping for a bit more consistency. And, I just don't know if he would be the option for me for the Giants at number 6. I love Spencer Fano especially. I know they've continually upgraded their offensive line to where we've subtly stopped talking about them needing offensive line at that same rate. So I love the fact that when they poached the Raiders offensive line coach, I was like, this is a good culture shift, and it ended up being such. So I'm really happy for the Giants in that regard, but still think they can upgrade at right tackle. At number 7, we have the Colts going Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback out of LSU. He's up to apparently 205. Hallelujah. He's up from 200 pounds. Still extremely undersized quarterback at 6'2", 205. That is believing if LSU got him to 205. But, I mean, with an organization that has dealt with some injury bugs, I would really want someone to be a little bit more in the middle. Like AR was an absolute super freak. When you have guys who are like athletic monsters, they do tend to have more injuries because of the amount of stress. I mean, think about it logically, the amount of stress a muscle puts on a joint. If you're just an actually super massive dude or a super heavy dude, logically, there's a bigger chance. Now, we have metrics, we have doctors that know far more than just, base logic. So hopefully we continue getting better with sports med and developing that to be able to see how good players are going to be, how to maybe maintain them better. I think it's the bigger issue that we should focus on more than just saying who we should avoid is how can we keep these players healthier for longer. And I don't see Garrett Nussmeier having the injury bug, but when you do have the history that the Colts do currently with their situation, and of course, I mean, Andrew Luck and all that bullshit, but, love that guy, miss him to death. But, this is just something that I think could scare them away. But I do think that the Colts would be going after quarterback if they're sitting here in the top 10. But Garrett Nussmeier, I do hope that he ends up taking the step that other people believe he will. At number 8, we got the Vegas Raiders going LaNorris Sellers. I'm a huge fan of this move, especially to learn under Geno Smith. Like, the timing is the biggest thing for LaNorris, and it's something that's what I'm going to be boosting in terms of the weight. I'm debating what I'm going to be dropping, but feel free to drop some notes in there. You guys know how I end up grading quarterbacks based on my quarterbacks video. But LaNorris is somebody who is he has the game-breaking ability. Like, just the ability, the ceiling to be the best quarterback in the NFL, which is ballsy as hell to say. But, I mean, for how young he is, for the habits that he would bring into his first year starting, I thought he did unbelievably well. So I'm really hoping that he continues to grow and develop as a processor, choosing the right guy at the right moment. And I think that's like the biggest thing is that latter part. He just does not choose the right moment, and that's what causes him to throw some errant passes and maybe not make the best decisions. But to learn from Geno Smith would be like that's my dream for him, and I think maybe he should end up going back to school, continuing to polish up. But there's a chance that he can end up being a true superstar. At number 9, you got the Dolphins going Caden Proctor, tackle out of Alabama. You know, I'm not a big Caden Proctor guy. I know a lot of people are. He has the physical build to be a top 10 pick. Love that for him, but I will say, I mean, especially with the injury prone Tua, this just scares the shit out of me, to be completely blunt. I mean, when you have someone who is this raw going to a system that you just need consistency, there's a lot of tackles I really like, whether it would be, I mean, if you're developing the right tackle side, let's just say Patrick Paul would be the right choice to keep at left tackle. You go Spencer Fano. But assuming they're going after left tackle, because Caden Proctor, I would look at Tiernan, I'd look at Isaiah World, I'd look at Caleb Lamu. Like, there's just better options, in my opinion, if you are going to go this route. So I would prefer to go after that route, but it is what it is. Number 10, speaking of Lamu, the Cleveland Browns go after their star offensive lineman. He's just kind of small. You look at him on tape, and, you know, he is, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, it's funny because he weighs more than Fano, but Fano plays much larger and kind of looks larger too. Like, Lamu has just this smallness to him. Like, when you literally look at him, I'm not talking about his play style. I'm talking about just like the physical. Like, you see him, he looks small, and you know, there's certain arm length concerns that absolutely are valid. But I mean, talent wise, this dude is a freaking baller, and I really love him. Like, the worst case scenario, you have yourself probably a blue chip guard, I would say, like, assuming he develops the way he should. I don't think he's there just yet, but I'm really hoping he can end up staying at tackle. I'm hoping those arms do end up measuring out a little bit longer, and maybe Spencer Fano just has longer arms than we expected. But for the Browns, getting consistent offensive line play is never a bad idea, in my opinion. Number 11, we have the Rams going Cade Klubnik. So this is what I was talking about. Like, I was saying, if Atlanta somehow, God forbid, something strikes, like a Penix injury bug, which, I mean, I think it was like 4 out of the final 5 years of Michael Penix's career in college, he ended up having a season-ending injury. So, like, if there is that, God forbid, knock on wood, that happens, then, you know, there's a chance that I would say Arch Manning would come out, right? That's why I was saying that's a big asterisk at the beginning. But going Cade Klubnik for the Rams at 11, I can't see them being here. I mean, Stafford's playing, so it is what it is. But Klubnik should go to a team that needs him to start right away. This is not a team that is like looking for a QB in the next year. Again, I'm tripping balls. This is Atlanta's pick. I mean, especially because of that, I don't think Stafford's retiring. And Cade is just such a high floor player. This is where, if you did see a LaNorris Sellers, that you're just like, dude, this is pure raw talent. Or, you know, somehow Aiden Childs thinks it's a bright idea to come out, even though he'll be like just raw 20-year-old. Pause. Then, you know, maybe I would agree to it. But I do think the quarterback, like Drew Aller, makes a little bit more sense to me. Someone who still needs some more extra development. And I really like Drew Aller. I'd prefer to take him with that second Rams pick. But Cade Klubnik is a damn good player. It just depends on what Matthew Stafford is thinking about retiring. So if he does, then you want to go with the higher floor option. If he has a year to develop, go after the guy who you think has a comfortable floor but a better ceiling. At number 12, we have the Seahawks going edge TJ Parker out of Clemson. I mean, as long as he gets a mental part of the game down, he is absolutely worth this pick. He's a very solid athlete with really solid technique at a great build, 265. Like, it's just something that you want to have. But when it comes to the processing of the game, understanding like snap timing, when it comes to understanding when to time your moves, and then the biggest thing, knowing where the ball is, especially as a run defender, I think he lacks in that category. And that's something that will continue to grow and develop as you continue to grow and develop. It's not something where, you know, you just have it or you don't. I think after a certain amount of years, it's like if you don't have it, it's hard to believe you will get it. But TJ is a very young player. That's something that's absolutely like something you will continue to grow in. So he is not a fully polished player by any means. But the Seahawks going after TJ is an intriguing pick. I mean, if Mike McDonald thinks that the best option for his team to go after upgrade the edge position, I trust Mike McDonald to make the right decisions for his defense. You think about Nick Eamon-Wari, Byron Murphy when healthy was absolute savage. So it's like, I feel comfortable in that aspect, but I will say TJ Parker to me has a bit more room to grow, which I do believe he can end up taking. Derek Hall, I did think was a reach, so it sucks that he. I mean, I'm hoping that he can end up taking this extra step, but I do have some concerns. 13, we have the Patriots going Dylan Thieneman, defensive back out of Oregon. I love the idea of giving some love to Dylan here. I'm going to be jumping into his tape right after the centers and guards. I think I just need to knock out, both like the top linebackers and the top safeties, which I already got one of the two. Dylan could end up like kind of polishing that off. I've ended up looking at some other guys' rankings and stuff just to see like, hey, is there anybody like if I'm going to do a 1 to 2 round mock that I really need to know? And I want to make sure that, I'm tired of saying, hey, I'm getting through all these positions, going really deep into it. I'm an impatient guy. I really am. I am patient with myself to a degree, but I'm getting kind of pissed off because I'm like, we're running out of time here. And I'm tired of saying, like, I've seen a lot of Dylan Thieneman by watching other players, and I really like his game. It's time to put toe to turf, man. I need to get this guy fully graded. So that's on me, but I don't think defensive backs will go this high. I don't think Dylan Thieneman, based on anybody that I've seen talk about him, nor have I seen by watching players versus him, I don't see this being where he will go. Like defensive backs just don't go this high. But love the idea of getting him on the Patriots. I do think that, based on him being kind of like a Midwestern guy there at Purdue, now he's going to Oregon, but, definitely love the fact that he's a Purdue Boilermaker. I do love the grit. I do think it fits in with Mike Vrabel. We'll see if that ends up being something that you should do, but really do like the culture fit there, probably in the second round. At 14, we have the Cardinals going Spencer Fano. Fan of this one, obviously. Spencer Fano is tied for my number 4 player. Deep down before I started this video, I was really thinking about switching him and Malachi Lawrence. It doesn't matter. They're the same damn grade, but to me, it just feels better with Fano a little bit higher because of the fact that people really do believe in him. And I am debating it, and this is for my super fans because those are the only ones of y'all watching this video at this point, this specific time where I'm talking about after the initial analysis. Let me know if you want to see a hybrid system where I end up having my own grade and then balancing out with, kind of like the perceived consensus grade. Like, I think that would be really intriguing, and it would end up making my rankings a lot more palatable for people. Because you see Malachi Lawrence, and you're like, dude, you're just shoving it down my throat, brother. Like, it's too much. That was a holy pause right there, or an unholy pause, if you will. But it's just like, obviously, this is unadulterated version of me. I'm a super fan of Malachi Lawrence. You guys know how I rock. But it might make it a little bit more palatable for people to see that and be like, I mean, to be fair, like the ones that stand out is Malachi Lawrence. Hell, not even Mekhi Lemon at this point, but like Jaheim White, and then Noah Thomas for sure. But like 3 out of my top 18, like Chase Roberts would be another one. So 4 out of my top 21. That's a pretty good rate of like not looking absolute like batshit crazy at this time of year. So really happy with that. Regardless, for this one, really love it. Top 5 player and a position of need. So big fan of that. At 15, you got the Cowboys going defensive back Jalen Kilgore. Does not make sense. Let's see if they've done their research because they said this came out today, according to what I saw on Google. But I will just say, they're talking about replacing Bland. This does not make sense. At least they're talking about versatility to play multiple positions. So I was about to say, like, am I going to catch them not understanding who this player is? Because Jalen Kilgore is not a boundary corner, in my opinion. He is a slot safety. It's not even a slot corner. He plays like a slot safety. There's a lot of love for Jalen Kilgore. I'm hoping to see it, but when I ended up initially studying him with the cornerback class, I literally ended up saying, first off, I don't like this guy. Second off, this guy doesn't belong with the corners. He belongs with the safeties. So don't think this is a good pick for Dallas, in my humble opinion. At number 16, we had the Chicago Bears going Jeremiah Love. Copy and paste, but sometimes copy and paste works really well. So I'm a fan of this one. Jeremiah Love, good pickup right there. The Bears looking really good. They just ended up crushing the Bills in the preseason. Who gives a shit? It's a preseason, but I think it's something that's good for the Bears because you end up seeing, because it was a little bit of a slow start, and you're just like, okay, Where's this Ben Johnson that we knew? And he ended up showing up. 17, love seeing this right here. Offensive lineman Francis Mauigoa, offensive line part I'm speaking to for the Houston Texans at 17. I do think he's a guard. I would not take him at 17. Spoiler alert. I do have him. He'd end up probably, because I haven't ended up calculating based on like where I feel comfortable putting the guard value, but I'm thinking he's probably right around like the third, like 40 to 35 range. Good spot to be in. Honestly, it's a good spot. I think he ends up landing. He probably will be at number 40, but regardless, he's a good player. He has guard tendencies. His arm length is really short for what you'd expect for a tackle, and you combine that with those tendencies. You're just getting a good player, though. Like CC Mauigoa is a very good player. I just don't have the faith in him as a tackle. And if I'm going to be taking swings in the top 20, I personally would be going after tackle because I think there's some pretty interesting guard options down the board. 18, we had the Vikings going Avion Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. I mean, this fits with the Isaiah Rodgers identity on the boundary. I love it. Avion Terrell, damn good player, my number 20 player on my board. Number 19, the Steelers go Drew Aller. So as a Steelers fan, I would appreciate this. I mean, you have him and Will Howard then in the building, and, you can have a good competition there. Obviously, Will Howard, I really was hoping that he would have had some preseason time, man. Like that really kicked me in the nuts when obviously I think he has a broken thumb, like injured his hand. But it's just like really would have loved to have seen what Will has to offer. But Drew Aller, absolutely. If you're sitting there at number 19 and Drew continues to improve at the rate that he has been playing, or he has been improving, I should say, I think it's perfect because used to Pennsylvania, used to cold weather, used to a gritty ass division, used to a consistent run game as well. Like it just feels right. And then you have the big arm, you have some mobility there. He's young. Like it just feels right. And so I'd be a big fan of it. I really would, because you're sitting here at number 19. If this, again, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but if he ends up being a bust, it's a number 19 pick. It's not going to be the end of the world. And you do have Will Howard on the squad, who I do think could end up probably getting you to a 19th overall pick. So, I'm a fan of it. It's a really good pick in my opinion. And I'm not having Drew Aller in my top 20 either. So that's just showing you that I really like the fit. And number 20, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going Ruben Bain Jr. I mean, you guys see where Ruben Bain is at number 11 on my board, and then you have it going to a team that should definitely be looking at edge rusher. Fireworks. I really like that pick. Very good move from the Chargers back-to-back years with two guys who I really liked in Omarion Hampton as well now as Ruben Bain. Number 21, we got the Buccaneers going Sonny Styles. So this is one of the players that I was hinting at earlier. Really, really, really want to get Sonny Styles graded. So he will be graded this week. And because I'm also going on Broshmo's show next week to do a 3-round mock draft. He has not announced it, but for those of y'all who are loyal and watching at this point, it's worth it to give you guys a little bit of fun and fun insight there. But, Sonny Styles, I do think for Tampa Bay, with the fact that, Bowles loves his linebackers, it certainly could be in the mix. I was surprised Jahad Campbell was not considered, but, Emeka Ibuka, really high floor receiver. We'll see how that ends up playing out in the long run, but I do think Tampa Bay could end up getting themselves a damn good player here in Sonny Styles. At number 22, we have the Denver Broncos going tight end Max Clare out of Ohio State, formerly at Purdue. He's a good player. I mean, I'm not going to disagree if you think Max Clare is a first-round pick. He's just undersized, like 235. He plays a lot larger than it. My thing about Eli Stowers is that he doesn't. He does kind of play like a 235-pounder. Max Clare plays like he's 240 to 245, which I think is perfectly acceptable. Like he plays with good tenacity. I do think he should still put on some weight, but he is a good player. He is kind of that joker type of tight end who can be a really good route runner, a good blocker as well. So personally, I like Max Clare. Not at 22, but I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm just more of a Kenyon Sadiq guy. Like Kenyon Sadiq's just, absolute love affair to me. At number 23, we have the Rams going Isaiah World, left tackle out of Oregon. This guy's a really fun player. He's listed 6'8". Apparently he's in like the 6'6" to 6'5" range. Who cares? Honestly, I don't like 6'8", 308 as much as I like to hear 6'6", 308. So honestly, better for me hearing that. But Oregon has a really good eye for these offensive linemen. And we'll be talking about their addition, Pregnon, in probably a couple of days. That's a big if because the amount of graphics that will happen, it'll be this week. But adding in World, adding in Harkey, like both of those tackles, and then you're adding in Emmanuel Pregnon, just really, really, really good talents across the board. And Oregon knows how to find these offensive linemen. So shout out to whoever is, looking around the country for, transfers for offensive line. They're doing a damn good job. But if you need to continue shoring up that left tackle spot for the long haul, I obviously think that they're going to be pushing him to right tackle based on this conversation. But I mean, worth the risk, man. Worth the risk. I know Alaric ended up getting his contract. But number 24, we have the Packers going Malik Muhammad, cornerback out of Texas. There's going to be a lot of projection for Malik. I don't think he's remotely a first-round player at the moment, but he has the physicality. He has those flash reps that can make you believe in him. But I just don't think he is that. But I do think boundary corner is a definite need for the Packers. 25, we got the Bengals going LT Overton, defensive lineman of Alabama. If they get rid of Trey Hendrickson, which it looks like they're trying to do, but they're just a horrible organization. Like, we want a young defensive player and a first-round pick. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, read the room, brother. You know what I mean? Like, read the room. How many times are you going to say, oh, we're going to try to get a deal done the moment it stalls? We're going to try to trade you. What do you want to trade him for? Oh, let's ask an astronomical price that no one's going to pay. No one? Okay, let's try to get the deal done. Oh, no, the deal's not getting done. Let's do it again. It's like, dude, dumbass organization. I just got to call it out as it is. It's just, you got to learn from your mistakes. And when 100% of the people in this world are saying what you're doing is wrong, learn from your mistakes. It's not that hard. It's really not, especially when you have someone that people do want. It's not like you're saying, oh, I'm going to shop a bum for a first-round pick. Trey Hendrickson's good. He's just older in need of a new contract. That's going to lower your value. Just factor that in. It's like when you're talking to people on the phone, if you hear everyone saying the same thing and you realize that you are two worlds apart, there's a world in between that maybe both of y'all can survive on. But you aren't surviving on either one at the moment. And then you're not realizing that you need to come to the middle or just get the damn contract done. It's bewildering to me. But LT Overton, I mean, if you do end up getting rid of Trey Hendrickson, it will open up a vacancy that, in my opinion, LT Overton can take because he's a damn good player. 26, we have the Niners going Jacoby Lane, wide receiver to USC. Another player that needs a lot of work, but, really like, the finer details he has is just kind of the actual playing football, in my opinion, that he doesn't do that well. Just somebody that you could see a future where he ends up being worth a first-round pick. The problem is if you look at every single play rather than the highlight reel, you're just like, man, like there's some big issues to be fixed here. So I just don't think he's ready for that this year, hoping that I'm wrong. At number 27, we have the Commanders going Cassius Howell, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. A really fun player. Really fun player. There's a lot of good edge rushers in the country right now. Would not mind this. I just think Cassius needs to take another step, and this is his year to do it, right? There's definitely a role for him, or a world where he ends up making it worth someone's time as a first-round pick. And especially for a team like the Commanders that continue to patch it, makes sense. Obviously, Keldrick Falk, I'd want him to go earlier, but I understand some people just aren't super giddy on someone who is built like Falk, and, it's probably the case here. But perfect guy for Spags, especially with Felix going on a season-ending IR. That just really sucks. But, definitely defensive line is on the cards. So I do like it for the Chiefs. Good move right there. 29, we have the Lions going Mateo Uyunglele out of Oregon, edge rusher. I do think that the Lions could continue to upgrade at edge. My problem with it is that Mateo, he's a technician, but I don't think he's the athlete, and I don't think right now he is mentally the player necessary to be a first-round pick. Of course, time will continue to show us whether he progresses into that, but right now I do think the probability is just lower than what people think. Remember, every single year, these way too early mock drafts just look vastly different. So right now, my gut is telling me Mateo is one of those guys that probably won't be there come April, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. Number 30, we have the Ravens going Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. He is a good player. To me, he's a cheap man's version of Tetro McMillan. That's a pretty solid role, especially for the Ravens. I just don't know if it's a first round role, so I'm not going to disagree, but I just personally wouldn't take him there. At 31, this is the dream pick. The Eagles selected Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Amazing after the catch, kind of feels like Kyle Pitts, but at least we can have more hope than just kind of arrogance. So big fan of Kenyon Sadiq. At number 32, and ending off this mock draft, this is another player I really want to study. Anthony Hill, linebacker out of Texas. I've watched the Texas Longhorns a billion times, so I've seen a ton of Anthony Hill. But again, it is just so different when you microanalyze every single moment of every single rep. Like you get to see a different side of the player, and you get to see how in fractions of a moment, how they think, how they react. And that's just not something you can do while watching somebody else in the same fashion. So I do think the Bills definitely underratedly should be looking at a linebacker. And if Anthony Hill is their best player available, that's the way to go. There is no second round. I was like, is there? I saw it was 32 out of 32, but you never know if they're like, oh, click to this page to, get some extra ad reads and stuff. But that's going to be the video. Thank you again for supporting. We're going to be getting into a much more regular schedule. So do not believe that the past 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks have been an indicator of what's to come, because it is not. We're going to get back to normal. And I'm going to be getting back to doing the team reviews, because that can also give us some time to be able to review some guys, get better understanding of the rosters than what we even know now. And then also I can actually put, pen to paper and end up giving you guys some actual record predictions for us to be laughing at / maybe saying, come January. So thank you again for watching. See you later. Peace.